Liam Buckley, you're Group Head of Internal Audit at QBE Insurance. Thank you for sharing some thoughts today.
No problem.
How would you describe the skill level required to be a good internal auditor?
Look, I think like all good professionals, you need to have a foundation across the board. So you need to be a strong communicator. You need to be have an analytical approach to thinking through issues, and managing stakeholders is one of the very subtle but important arts of being a great internal auditor. And that's about getting people to buy into a solution. That's about driving change, and it's about getting people to actually want to do something different. And while we can have great technical foundations, that skill is actually something that makes great internal auditors.
So, multifaceted, in other words.
Well, I don't think it's one size fits all. I think that actually what the modern profession is looking for is people who can assist management and actually helping make things better.
In your time, have you seen companies save from becoming a potential train wreck thanks to an astute internal auditor?
I'm not sure train wreck is the right term. Look, I think the job of an internal auditor is to hold up a mirror to the organisation, to help it better understand what things it's doing well as what things could be done better. I've certainly seen audit functions stand up to projects that are not working well, to change initiatives that are not operating effectively, or to processes that actually could go wrong if things play out a certain way. So I'm not sure that results in a train wreck, but I certainly think it creates value for an organisation to do things better.
All right, well, on the flip side, maybe taking a global view, and I'm thinking GFC, for example, have you seen organisations collapse and maybe some of those US institutions and wondered what their internal auditor was doing or if they even had one?
Yeah, look, it's easy to opine from the outside how things should be, right? And we well know that not every organisation is as slick on the inside as it is on the outside. Um, Today, lots of controls are still manual. Today, lots of things get documented in spreadsheets and on paper. And it's easy to say on the outside it should have been different, but the reality is that many organisations are still challenged with technology and still challenged with systems. And so I think it is the job of the auditor to call some of that stuff out.
Well, sticking with the GFC for the moment, you've worked for Macquarie Group, Commonwealth Bank, and now QBE Insurance. Let's face it, internal auditors didn't prevent the global financial crisis, but
Not if they cause it.
but perhaps would they have mitigated the impact for some of those individual corporations?
I think the job of an internal auditor is to help an organisation better understand the risks that it faces, whether they be financial, operational, process, or technology. Um, while no one risk is ever the job of the auditor is to look across the organisation. I don't think that internal audit function per se would have stopped the GFC, but it certainly could have helped management better understand the risks that they were facing.
How much is courage something internal auditors should have in their approach to the job?
It is a very courageous job to be an internal auditor because your job ultimately is to help management listen to the truth. And that requires a huge amount of personal courage. Whether that's reviewing a report that you can see some executive behaviour that's not playing out properly, or whether it's the courage to actually to call things when everyone else says it should be one way and you see it another. Courage is a very important skill for an auditor.
And have you personally ever had anyone trying to hose you down when you've turned in a particularly unpalatable audit report?
I go back to that concept of actively managing our stakeholders. So if you engage early and you engage well and you help people understand the reason why you're calling things a particular way, then you reduce the requirement to hose people down. It doesn't mean that people don't have an emotional reaction sometimes. Of course they do. Business is still filled with people. But I think if you can actively get people onto your side early, to engage early, to get them to understand the reason and the why, then you've got more chance of actually helping them understand the solution is the right one.
And can you think of one of your toughest assignments in that regard?
Oh, like every assignment can be tough. If I think about some of the more challenging ones, they tend to be around big change projects where the organisation is committing to an initiative or to relocate some process and to actually make sure that it's well constructed both from the benefit case as well as the cost to implement and as well understanding the impact on people. I think that can be the more challenging projects to talk through.
Turning now to technology, would you say there's a dangerous mismatch between the growth in online activity and the level of recruitment and training for the audit of these areas?
So I work in financial services and have done for close to a decade thereabouts. At the heart of every financial services organisation is a huge technology one, and understanding technology to be an effective auditor is actually part of the toolkit you need to be able to engage with people around technology to help them understand the risks as well as the opportunities that they're facing with new and emerging technologies. We talk often around the migration to cloud, and I see a lot of auditors struggle with that as a concept, and yet it's fundamental to the way businesses are migrating.
So you are agreeing in a sense that there is a bit of a mismatch. That online activity is only accelerating, and there's a bit of a struggle to keep up.
Well, everyone is challenged with keeping up with technology, and audit's the same as everyone else in lots of respects. Uh, I think that it is all of our obligation to keep up to date.
Internal audit is mandatory for financial services companies such as yours. But in summary, why should any organisation of any size, indeed, want to or be thinking very seriously about establishing an internal audit function?
Sure. So internal audit tends to be the independent and objective voice for the organisation. It supports the board in them discharging their prudential responsibilities to ensure that the organisation is well managed. If I was on the board of any company, I would look for a function within the organisation to review the processes, the controls, the systems and operations to ensure they're operating effectively. It's hard when you're a board member and you're only there a number of times a year to really understand what's going on. I think internal audit supports the board in actually understanding how the business is operating.
Liam Buckley, a fascinating perspective on internal audit. Thank you.
No problem.